Today we're going to be talking about the principles of democracy. When I am done going through this information, you will then click on the Principles of Democracy assignment, complete the graphic organizer using your own words. The first principle we're going to be discussing today is accepting the results of elections. This pretty much is exactly what it sounds like. If somebody wins an election, regardless of if a person is happy or not, the citizens within a democracy should accept that person as their new leader. It is also the responsibility of the outgoing leader to leave that position and allow for the new leader to come in. The second principle is accountability. This is the idea that elected and appointed officials are responsible for their actions and have to be accountable to the people. They have certain decisions and responsibilities that they must follow through with, and they have to do it within the will and the wishes of the people they represent, and not for themselves and their friends. The next one is the Bill of Rights. Most democratic countries have a Bill of Rights put in place, and usually within their constitution, that outlines the things that their citizens have the right to do. Citizen participation. We believe in a democracy that citizens should be participating in many different forms. One is running for office, voting in elections, becoming informed, debating issues, attending community meetings, being members of private voluntary organizations, paying taxes, serving on a jury, and even protesting. Citizen participation builds a stronger democracy. The next one is control of the abuse of power. One of the most common abuses of power is corruption, which occurs when government officials use public funds for their own benefit or they exercise power in an illegal way. To protect against these abuses, democratic governments are often structured to limit the powers of government officials and offices. For example, the executive, judicial, and legislative branches of government have distinct functions and can check and balance the powers of the other branches. These also have the ability to investigate and have court hearings for those who violate these things. The next one is economic freedom. People in a democracy must have some form of economic freedom. This means that the government allows some private ownership of property and businesses. People are allowed to choose their own work and to join labor unions. The role of government should play in the economy is debated, but it is generally accepted that free markets should exist in a democracy, and the state, or the government, should not totally control the economy. Some people argue that the state should play a stronger role in countries where there are great inequality of wealth due to past discrimination or unfair practices. Free and fair elections. One way citizens express their will is by electing officials to represent them in government. In a democracy, elections are held regularly, usually every few years. Democracy insists that elected officials are chosen by the people in a free and fair manner. Most adult citizens should have the right to vote and to run for office, regardless of their race, gender, ethnicity, and level of wealth. Equality. In a democracy, all individuals are valued equally, have equal opportunities, and may not be discriminated against because of their race, religion, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation. Individuals and groups maintain their rights to have different cultures, personalities, languages, and beliefs. All are equal before the law and are entitled to equal protection of the law without discrimination. Human rights. There are many different forms of human rights. All democracies strive to value human life and dignity and to respect and protect the human rights of citizens. Examples include, but are not limited to, the following: movement, religion, speech, and assembly. Take a minute or two to read about each one. Okay, we are going to continue now. Independent judiciary. In democracies, courts and the judicial system are impartial. Judges in the judiciary branch must be free to act without influence or control from the executive and legislative branches of government. They should also not be corrupt or obligated to influential individuals, businesses, or political groups. These ideas are related to the rule of law and to controlling the abuse of power. An independent judiciary is essential to a just and fair legal system. We will discuss more about this in Unit 3 when we talk about the Supreme Court. Multi-party systems. To have a democracy, more than one political party must participate in elections to play a role in government. A multi-party system allows for organized opposition to the party that wins the election. Multiple parties provide the government with different viewpoints on issues and provide voters with a choice of candidates, parties, and policies. Historically, when a country only has one party, the result has been a dictatorship. Political tolerance. Democratic societies are politically tolerant. This means that while the majority of the people rule in a democracy, the rights of minorities must be protected. A democratic society is often composed of people from different cultures, races, religions, and ethnic groups who have viewpoints that differ from a majority of the population. People who are not in power must be allowed to organize and speak out. Political minorities are sometimes referred to as the opposition because they may have ideas which are different from the controlling majority. If the people in the majority try to destroy the rights of the people in minority groups or with minority viewpoints, then they also destroy democracy. The rule of law. In a democracy, no one is above the law, not even a king, elected president, police officer, or member of the military. Everyone must obey the law and will be held accountable if they violate it. Democracy also insists that laws are equally, fairly, and consistently enforced. And finally, transparency. For government to be accountable, the people must be aware of the actions their government is taking. A transparent government holds public meetings and allows citizens to attend. In a democracy, the press and the people are able to get information about what decisions are being made, by whom, and why. This concludes the Principles of Democracy. Please now click on Principles of Democracy assignment to fill out the rest of the graphic organizer. I am also attaching this PDF to this recording so that you can go back and look at each one individually. Make sure, though, that when you write down your description of each of these principles, it is in your own words.